Hello, everyone. Before we begin, I must make you aware. Some of the subject matter today is going to be very sensitive. We're going to be talking about physical and mental and emotional health issues. Very sensitive subjects. This conversation, it may trigger some of us. So just prepare yourself for some tough topics and for some candid conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Stories of strength, will, and desire, building a future for me and you. Let's get inspired and shine a spotlight on the CUSW. Hello, and welcome to the CUSW Spotlight Podcast, brought to you by the Canadian Union of Skilled Workers, established in 1999. CUSW has been empowering its members and shaping the future of skilled trades for over 25 years. In this podcast, we shine a spotlight on the people, stories, and values that make CUSW a strong and dynamic community. It's an exciting time to be part of this union, and we're here to celebrate the journey, achievements, and dedication of skilled workers. So turn up the volume and let's get started. Here's your host for the CUSW Spotlight Podcast, Mr. Dan Plexman.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in for this edition of the CUSW Spotlight Podcast. We're very fortunate to have one of our fellow CUSW members, James Duffield, joining us today. Hi, Jamie. How are you today?
Good. Yourself, Dan?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for being on the show today.
I've been looking forward to it. Can't wait for the conversation. I think it's going to be really good.
Myself as well. In preparing for the podcast, the producers and us building the show, we were really excited to have your input. That's for sure. You and I have had quite a few private conversations, and we've noticed a lot of similarities in our backgrounds. I think some of the conversations that we've had should be shared with the public because it's just good stuff to know. Maybe you want to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. How are you connected with the CUSW family?
I started working for a contractor in Toronto and became a member of CUSW just over 10 years ago. I worked there for pretty much the whole time through my whole career. And then in the last year or two, I took on a rotation, working directly with CUSW, doing membership development, workplace development. And so it got me more involved with the union quite a bit.
Quite extensively, yeah. I think your main claim to fame as far as your work experience is being a backhoe operator, I believe.
Correct, and Mini X, yeah.
Right, and working in a lot of tight spaces in the downtown Toronto area must have honed your skills.
Yes, definitely. You have to be an elite operator, I would say, to be down there. You're working around tight utilities. There's always something in the ground. You can't see the dangers. So yeah, you have to have a higher skill level.
Right.
Definitely, it raised mine for sure going down there.
For sure. A lot of viewers don't know that you were an avid golfer before you became an equipment operator. Do you think maybe the motor skills and the discipline that you learned being a golfer corresponds with being an equipment operator?
Absolutely. As a kid, teenager, I golfed every day, something I took passion in, and I wouldn't say I got burnt out from it, but it wasn't the career I wanted to take, and just running equipment happened to fall into my lap, and that was my next passion, and I kind of treated them the same. I was very passionate. I go in on my own time to learn to run the equipment and gain the skills to do it as a career.
Fantastic. And being an equipment operator, CUSW member, they're very big parts of your life. but I don't think that's what makes Jamie Duffield Jamie Duffield.
Yep.
Uh, I think a lot of the viewers don't really realize your background as far as some of the struggles you've had in life, like the fighting spirit and the survival attitude that you have. I think
Yep.
people would like to hear about it.
Sure. So, over the last 10 years of being a CUSW member, about 6.5 years ago, getting closer to 7 now, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. I went from being perfectly healthy to spending a month in the hospital, not knowing if I was going to get out. And since then, I've done over 60 rounds of chemo, done 5 radiation treatments, 3 surgeries, 2 on my liver, 2 on my colon to remove some of that. Gone into remission twice, and I'm currently battling for the 3rd time, and that's been constant for the last about 3 years now.
Wow, what an ordeal to be going through, and
Mhm.
seems almost you fought the same battle a few times and you've overcome it
Yep.
twice
Yep.
already, and now you're on the third time going through fighting through the same mud, I guess, or swamping
Yes.
it out, as we
Yep.
say.
Yep. And along with that, there came other mental health issues that came along with the cancer, drug and addiction, alcohol addiction. I definitely struggled with that, especially going through my second round of cancer, I guess you want to call it. Yeah, so really struggled with that too. That probably was closer to taking my life at one point than the cancer ever was. So,
Yeah, I know with my own struggles, dealing with my own physical injuries, the psychological tolls it had on me was immense.
yeah.
Uh, I'm thinking to myself, uh, when it comes to your addiction and the cancer diagnosis, was the cancer diagnosis the thing that spurred the addiction, where it's just like another way to cope, or trying to find a way to cope?
I think I've kind of always had addiction, not issues or problems. I've had that addictive behavior, or whatever. I've just always had healthy addictions. Like when I was younger, I was a golfer. It's all I did. Golf, 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 golf. And then in my early 20s, I got into running equipment. And like I said, I'd do that after hours. It was kind of just what I did. Um, I was always kind of a partier, like weekend warrior kind of guy. Never really got into the drugs until early 30s or whatever, but I never really saw it as a problem. It's just with the cancer diagnosis, it is kind of what I fell back on. It just brought that to light.
Right. That kind of made a light go off my mind where you said healthy addictions.
Mhm.
Uh, it just seems kind of like a conundrum. It doesn't make sense to me. And I lived that life before I was injured, like officially injured on the job site. I was dealing with some psychological abuse issues from childhood issues throughout my entire life. And I never really realized it. Uh, but like you, I think I was prone to some addictions, but I always felt maybe not my addictions were healthy, but I always felt I had control of them. Where when it was time to exercise, I would over exercise. When it was time to eat, I was overeating. When it was time to drink, I was over drinking. It's just whatever I was doing it to excess. But I would get to a point where, okay, this is too much and I think it's affecting me. Then I would just change addictions. So
Yeah.
I don't really, maybe the health issues I was having weren't obvious because I was rotating them.
Yeah.
uh, in my mind, I couldn't describe any of my addictions as healthy.
It's funny you say the access, doing things to access, because so after I got into recovery of my addiction and stuff like that, I got into working out, and I definitely did that to access too. Did a couple programs like 75 hard, where it's just no normal people would do this. Like it was just to the extreme for sure. Healthy extreme, but
Yeah, I get that, especially when the dopamine is released and the serotonin is
Yeah.
released from that intense exercise, or
Yeah.
putting yourself in a dangerous situation, or or an unfamiliar
Yeah.
situation.
Yep.
You get the same high sometimes.
100%.
That fight or flight
100%.
mode kicks in, and it's like, ooh, it feels good for some reason.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I was into ice baths for a long time. I went swimming at the lake here back home. I think it was December 23rd. So it was cold. I had to break the ice to get into the lake, but
Yeah,
just search for that dopamine.
it's true.
Yeah.
That's a whole other subject on the cold water immersion. That's for sure.
For
We
sure.
only have so much time. We
Yeah.
so I guess the cancer diagnosis was the thing that really spurred the official addiction within you, even though you felt you had the tendencies before.
100%. And it just grew as the cancer progressed, and then some other mental issues came in between the cancer diagnosis that didn't help me or my addiction at all.
When you talk, I don't know if I should even mention this, but I'm going to anyway because we're friends, and this is
Yep.
why we're here. Um, did they give you a timeline as far as your latest diagnosis or what's going on, kind of thing? Because I got to admit, it wasn't up until about 10 years ago until I learned what stage 4 meant. So
Yep.
when we first talked about your diagnosis, when we first met last year, I remember hearing, oh, yeah, you had diagnosed stage 4 cancer 7 years ago. And in my mind, I was like, he's still living, because anybody I know who's been diagnosed with stage 4, they're not around for very much longer after they've been diagnosed. So I'm really glad you're here, man. Like,
Me too.
yeah,
But yeah, so the fight is getting harder. Certain chemos aren't working anymore. So I would say in early February, I was given the diagnosis of 6 months. Don't expect to go much further than that. Um, but we're still here. We're still fighting. I'm actually involved in a new study, chemo, if it's going to work. It's really new. Only a few people in the world have taken it. Still have that hope.
right.
That's all we need, right?
Yeah, exactly. And having support of family and the support of the medical system, as you've just touched on,
Yeah.
without that support from the medical system, there is no hope.
No,
Yeah.
you're 100% right.
When you were first diagnosed 7 years ago and they gave you the diagnosis of stage 4, you beat that. Um, then it came around again about a year and a half later. You beat that. And here you are for the third time. Have things changed in your acceptance of from the first time you were diagnosed this and 7 years ago to now? Because you've basically had the same diagnosis 7 years ago and then now.
Yep.
What has changed
Um,
within you and how you're approaching the situation?
I would say it's a lot more real now. Um, just with the 6 month. For the last 7 years, they never really gave me a timeline.
Yeah.
It was always we're confident we can beat it, especially with the first time. Colon cancer is very common. So a lot of research done into it, a lot of studies and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, now I just value every day waking up a lot more, spending time with my daughter. She lives with me. Those things are important to me now. You learn to value seeing the sunrise and just the beauty in that and stuff like that, right? And sharing special moments.
Yeah. Living in the present. I'm picking up what you're laying down. I think living in the present is what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You never know what the next day is going to bring. So,
It's so true. I lived a lot of years living with regret of the past and then living in fear of the future. And both places take you out of the present. And the present is the only time that's important right now. It really is.
one thing that got me over, like, especially with my addiction, because I did a lot of crappy things to people that I loved. And one thing that got me to not hate that person that I was, that person made the decision to go to treatment to get help. that person that I once hated made that decision to make me the person I am today, right? So that got me over that quite a bit.
Yeah, even though you're fighting addiction, you're still the base Jamie, a good
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
like we all are. Uh,
Mhm.
Sometimes we go through experiences in life and dealing with difficult times that make a good person act or do some bad things. And
Yep,
a couple moments of our life doesn't define us, that's for sure.
absolutely.
I have to live by that, that's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's what you take away from those couple moments.
we can all live with regret, but it's a useless feeling having all this regret unless you're going to reflect on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
As far as your process of dealing with addiction, dealing with the cancer diagnosis, the changes in your life, the changes in your mind, everything. Um, what's been your biggest support, and where have you found support?
Family and friends have obviously been huge. I have some of the best friends in the world and the best family in the world. CUSW has been huge. I can honestly say, especially when it came to my addiction, if I wasn't a CUSW member at the time, I don't think I'd be here today, Dan. I went to treatment and it changed my life. And then dealing with all my medical stuff too. Obviously, medical issues have a financial strain. I took a bunch of time off work, and so long-term disability and stuff like that through CUSW, and all the supports there have been life-changing, like really
Some
good.
of our mutual friends with CUSW, they sure are good people. That
Yeah.
it's nice to know that we someone always
Yeah.
has our backs. A little joke we have within the CUSW is we don't call CAA, we call another CUSW member to
Yes.
we have a
Yeah.
car problem kind of thing,
It's
and
funny. Yeah. Yeah. For
it's
sure.
very yeah, it's very true. One of our mutual friends is Calvin Hicks.
Hmm.
Calvin is one of our fellow union members, one of our brothers, one of our close friends. Maybe like shine the light on Calvin a little bit. Tell him how you're connected with Calvin.
Um, One day Calvin showed up on the job site at Ballard when I was working there. He was on my crew, and we kind of just hit it off. We got very similar personalities, similar interests, especially when it comes to music and things like that. So the conversations were really easy. We ended up sharing a room together because we were both out of town. We ended up sharing an Airbnb. So we'd spend most of our time together,
Yeah,
especially in the winter.
some of us spend more time with our fellow workers than we do with our families.
100%, 100%. And then he became our health and safety rep at Ballard, and he bailed me out when I was in the hospital clinging for my life for some things that I had done, and got me into treatment and took care of me. Yeah, I wouldn't be here without him, and we've just grown tighter since.
That's a that's actually a beautiful story. It really is. Speaking of Calvin and friends like that and our fellow CUSW members, I've definitely had some friends and very close loved ones help me get out of very dark times in my life. You and I have had these pretty deep conversations, and one thing that I think it made our connection really stronger is the vulnerable conversation you and I had a little while ago about suicide. Uh, I had some suicidal tendencies. I had some plans when I was going through my roughest times, and your situation wasn't all that much different.
No, 100%. When I was first diagnosed, I had the why me? Like, why did I get this? And then when I recovered, I got that again. The why me? Why am I so special? Um, and I learned down the road that it was survivor's guilt. And that kind of weighed heavy on me. I've had a lot of people in my life pass away from cancer, a lot of young people, and I just didn't know why I was so special. to be surviving. And that sent my addiction to the extreme. And with addiction,
Yeah, I
suicidal thoughts for sure started to spiral.
I hear you on that one. I I find it, I don't want to say odd, but it's kind of surprising to me. You're the first cancer survivor who I've talked to who talks about survivor's guilt. With my work with the burn survivor community and childhood trauma, that sort of thing, a lot of the people in my communities, they talk about survivor's guilt. Like they're feeling guilty for feeling guilty, and then they're
Yep.
feeling
Yeah.
guilty for surviving. They're feeling guilty for winning.
Yep.
Uh, it's an odd thing to comprehend, especially when you're going through it. Like you feel very
Mhm.
helpless.
Yeah. Feel guilty about feeling guilty. I've said that I don't know how many times, especially when it comes to your addiction. And so you were given a second chance, and now your addiction's out of control, and this is what you're doing with it. Like the guilt, it just spirals. It's a snowball.
Yeah, like when you're dealing with a friend or a workmate or someone and they disrespect you, that's like one of those feelings that just kind of burns you.
Yep.
And when I think to myself, when I survived being burned, and then I had all the addiction issues with the prescription medications that I was on and drinking and doing drugs and everything else. When I realized I needed help, it's a lot of it was because I was just feeling so disrespected.
Hmm.
And I was feeling disrespected by myself.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
like I was given this big chance and this opportunity to heal physically and emotionally through the support of my family, friends, the CUSW, all of the sports that we have. And then here I am throwing it away by abusing my prescription medication.
Yep.
Like it's nothing but shame that you look at when you look in the mirror.
Yeah. Yep.
And and realistically, we should be looking at ourselves with a triumphant attitude because we've accomplished so much by winning and healing
Yeah.
and just being here.
If you can change that mindset to look what I've done, like should be proud to be here. If you can change that, you give a lot of hope to a lot of people. And that's kind of the way I've changed my cancer journey is giving hope to someone who's just been diagnosed with that stage 4. There's hope for them, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing like if you don't love yourself, no one else is going to love you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you don't have hope for yourself, how can anybody else have hope for you?
Right. Right.
And I think we talked about one of our or a conversation we had before where we both kind of agreed on, or we said it at the same time, where we said, without support, there is no hope.
Yes.
And
Yep.
all this stuff starts from right here, number one, me and you.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
we have to take account of this from the beginning, and a positive mindset and being kind to yourself is the first steps.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. Uh, we've hit some major topics here. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. No, I think it's good conversation. I think it's good that people are going to hear it.
no, exactly. I appreciate, and I know everybody else is going to appreciate your candid conversation here. This is really intense. Uh, we've talked a lot about regrets. We've talked a lot about what we've experienced, what we've gone through, and we've talked about the power of being in the present. You've shared a lot. We've all learned a lot. Do you have any specific parting message that you'd like to share with the viewers at home? And it could be whatever.
Enjoy the small moments, and enjoy every moment as much as you can because you don't know what's coming up to your next one. Like I said, with my diagnosis, I went from perfectly healthy to spending a month in the hospital from one day to the next, and it can change that quick. Your life can change that quick. So um, don't hold on to grudges. Just spread the love.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. Uh, Holding on to hate fostering
Totally made
negativity.
for it.
It doesn't hurt anybody but yourself, and it's a major waste of time. It really is.
Yeah.
And when like people like yourself, you've been given a timeline. Uh, when I was given a 13% chance to survive and I was in a coma, I don't know the urgency of the timeline because I was out. But when I was taken out of the coma, life changed for me because I was in the coma for 11 days. And 11 days before that, I was fit, I was active, I was in the prime of life.
Yep.
And I woke up completely a different person in every way. And it probably took me at least a decade to realize how great my life is with or without the injury, just because I'm here, just because I got another day to wake up.
Yep.
And I don't waste anything anymore. Even the days that I'm having a bad day, I'm still appreciating the time I have to have a bad day, because a bad day
Still
is
a
better
day.
than no day.
It's still a day.
Yeah, exactly. Like soldiers and warriors, they live to fight another day,
Yep.
live to
Yep.
die another day. It's just, it's the hard realities of life. And you've said to me before, we're all dying.
Yep. Some just faster than others.
It's true. Like all these sayings, philosophical sayings like you're born to die. That all sounds macho and cool when you put it on a tattoo when you're young and all that other stuff. But
Yep.
when you break that saying down, it is the harsh reality and it is the truth. And I think the sooner we can realize that, the better.
Yes. Yep. For
Um,
sure.
I'm thinking about one of our other conversations when we were talking about the recovery process, specifically with addiction and with getting counseling. I didn't really have the official addiction issues with this one specific drug. I was just abusing everything and everything that came in mind. But I did have counseling, and I still have counseling. 17 years later, I'm still receiving counseling, and we've touched on everything from my childhood abuse, my addictive personality, the psychological issues that I've encountered, being a burn survivor, and that sort of thing. And I think when I was telling you this, you told me it's crazy how counseling has changed me so much. And you said you kind of wish everybody has had counseling, or you
I
think
wish,
everybody should has counseling.
yes, it's changed my life. It's something I didn't do for 41 years of my life or 42, whatever it was. Um, and yeah, it changed my life. It changed my whole, I don't know if it flipped the switch, especially when it came to the guilt, survivor's guilt. It just changed my way of looking at life. And I was a new person when I came out of there, for sure.
Did you only have one counselor, or did you go through a few? And I asked the question because when I first realized I needed counseling, I asked for it, I accepted it, I received it. But the first two counselors, we just didn't click. Like it didn't
I
work
must
all that
have,
great. But the third one for me was the just worked perfect for me. And I consider this guy one of my best friends.
I must have just got lucky because it was my first one, and she was amazing. And you know what? When I first saw her, met her, I didn't think I'd resonate with her at all. And I know other people that haven't. And she got to me. The first thing I told her is, "You're gonna have a hard time breaking me," and she did it somehow. Because I'm
You
not a
think,
person that talks very often. I don't talk. I don't share my feelings and stuff like that. And she helped a lot.
right? Do you think she was more in line with who you were or are as Jamie Duffield before or after your experiences? Like I'm asking because with myself, the first two counselors were suggested to me by my occupational therapist and my therapist who knew me as a construction worker. I was a physical guy, and I know the counselors that they suggested, they were physical workers previously before becoming counselors. They had both undergone some heavy duty physical accidents in their life where they had to change how they did things physically. And I know that's why they were suggested to me because it makes sense. They're my kind of people. But I find it really strange when I sat down with them at the office getting the counseling, things just didn't work for me. I had a hard time connecting with these guys, even though they were very similar to me as far as outward appearances and job titles kind of thing. But the third counselor I had, he was my exact opposite. He wasn't a very physical person. He played in the orchestra, the symphony. He played the cello. He played the French horn, a couple other instruments. I'm totally not that kind of person. But at the same time, we meshed. And he really, really, he helped me a lot, even though in my previous life, I probably wouldn't have had time to really talk to him because we have nothing in common.
Yeah, that was the same with my therapist. I guess I was just lucky I got her first, but like I said, when we first sat down, I didn't think we'd connect at all. She was an older lady. I would say a mom type. I'm all tattooed. She has no tattoos, like total different walks of life. And we connected in the first session for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. One of my friends, when I was telling him I was getting the counseling and I was telling him all about it, he's like, so you basically got a paid friend. And now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I do. And it's the best friendship I've really ever had because there's that confidentiality that's between a doctor-patient relationship. The honesty is always there.
Yeah, and it's a friend that'll challenge you too. Right?
Yeah, without any previous bias.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it really is amazing the parallel journey that we've both had for complete different reasons.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks a lot for sharing, Jamie. Honestly, man, you've touched a lot of people today. I know you have. You've touched me.
Good. I hope so. Yeah, it was a pleasure to be on. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, well,
Let's do it in a year from now.
I was just gonna say that. Let's book one for a year from now. We really have to.
For sure. Look forward to it.
All right. Thanks again for everything, Jamie, and for everybody watching at home, viewing at home. If you'd like to get in touch with Jamie Duffield or myself, maybe you have some show ideas. Maybe you want to be a guest on the future episode. Please refer to the information page at the end of the show, and you can find all our contact information there. And once again, thanks very much, Jamie. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Dan.
And thanks, everybody, for tuning in onto the CUSW Spotlight Podcast. Until next time, keep shining. Wow, what a powerful conversation. Thanks, Jamie, for being so candid. We really appreciate it. Maybe this conversation has triggered something in you. Maybe you or you know somebody who needs to talk. Help is only 3 digits away. You can call 988, the Suicide Crisis Helpline. Someone's there to help you 24/7, 365 days a year, anytime. Maybe you're not quite at that point, but you still need to talk to somebody. Homewood Health is available. homewoodhealth.com. Go to the website. They're there to help. We're here to help. Reach out. Take advantage of these services. They're there for a reason. Thank you.
Thank you for shining bright in the CUSW Spotlight. Let's get inspired and shine a spotlight on CUSW.